Hey, this is Sabrina Monarch of Monarch Astrology and Magic of the Spheres podcast. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This video about Sun and Pluto in aspect and natal charts is part of a video series that I'm sharing here about natal Pluto aspects. At some point when you're watching this, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let me know in the comments how you resonate. If you have Sun Pluto, what stood out for you, how you relate to it, how you experience it. So this placement, Sun and Pluto in aspect, signifies strong needs and desires at a soul level around charisma, presence, and manifestation. Manifestation here does not necessarily mean law of attraction or manifesting something specific like money, though it could. It's more about manifesting one's inner talents and making them known outwardly, to radiate like the sun, right? To manifest an entire vision, essentially creating one's life. This is also a pain point or a place where there has potentially been themes of powerlessness in the past. I use this image from Matilda to be really dramatic here and exaggerated. It might not be this intense for a person with Sun Pluto, but you see in this image that moment in the film where Matilda's dad is saying, "I'm smart, you're dumb, I'm big, you're little, I'm right, you're wrong." Right? So you have this kind of like overbearing figure, right? The Sun Pluto like natal aspect could relate to having experienced overbearing parental or authority figures or oneself becoming one. Likewise, it could also be in a more positive light, it could be a very impactful or powerful parental or authority figure that positively influenced one's life, or growing up manifesting oneself into a kind of benevolent, bright figure that positively impacts others. But it's Pluto, so there's an edge. So that's why I brought in this image. Highly disempowering situations for a Sun-Pluto individual could involve early life experiences with narcissistic parents or having their creativity or uniqueness or specialness blocked or thwarted in some way. Right? Like having a particular desire to be a poet when you're a kid and your parents being like, "That's not practical. You're not good at poetry. Like you should do something that can make you money," kind of thing. And the way that that really reads as a kind of disempowerment or early trauma. The individual may also react quite negatively to impositions on their creativity from an early age because it's a place of deep importance to the soul. So maybe that light doesn't get fully stamped out if there has been that negative conditioning. There might be kind of like a, I'm the plant that grows through the cracks in the sidewalk kind of vibe with their creativity. Alternately, the person may have experienced early fortune around creative support. For example, growing up in a theater family or community and like having access to that kind of theatrical conditioning. That's something we can think of with the sun, is that drama or that theater energy. Growing up in a family that supports creativity, etc. Even that wouldn't be complex though, if we have like a situation, another dramatic example of like a child star and the complex psychology that goes around with that level of fame or attention early on. In a less dramatic way, it could also just be the different ways that we learn at a young age, the type of feedback we get, and how that influences our performative quality in life, like how we put on a character or put on a show in order to get certain results. So if you have developed at an early age that capacity to really be bright and shiny and performative in some way, that could be a skill, and it could also be something that turns into a type of complex. This individual who has Sun Pluto and aspect natally is learning how to manifest and direct their own life. It varies from individual to individual how developed this faculty is, or how much it is a place of difficulty. This individual could be attracted to bright, solar, realized, charismatic people, right? Pluto relates to projection. So a Sun Pluto person ultimately has that charismatic or bright or intense solar quality. So they may be attracted to others that are reflecting that. It may be important not to reduce these attractions to bright solar realized people to jealousy, which is a scarcity-based framework. The Sun-Pluto person is able to osmose the qualities of other people by paying attention to them. This could take the form of devouring the canon of someone's creative work, reading their biography, etc. Right? Like if you have a creative ancestor, for example, that you absorb all of their art, you're like osmosing the qualities of them to an extent. You're being influenced by them. The qualities of personality that this individual is attracted to are often underneath the specific manifestations. So you could be attracted to a pop star and not yourself be a musician, but it might be the charisma or a different quality about the pop star that this individual is attracted to. Pop star just being an example, you can fill it in with any other type of person. And by paying attention to these individuals that the person admires, they can be influenced by them and naturally apply these traits to their own lives, right? And hopefully in their own way, right? And not a regurgitation or a kind of copying, because that wouldn't be the person's empowerment necessarily either. And then naturally, this individual could at some point in their journey have this effect on others. They could have an it quality that others are attracted to and want to be around, maybe even want to emulate. Sun-Pluto people can be incredibly forceful in a way that they may like to be very mindful and intentional about. You know, you'll feel if I'm calling you out, I'm calling out a part of you. On the one hand, holding steadfast to a vision and refusing to see anything else is one way that we can manifest things, right? Like we're very focused in our solar vision. No matter what is happening, the individual presses their vision onto the situation to illuminate the situation in that key that they orchestrated themselves. In an empowered style, this is the quality of a visionary. It's also like a film director or an art director. Often Sun-Pluto people have a talent for management because they can hold the vision and press it into reality. And it can be helpful for the Sun-Pluto person if they do not need anyone else to see their vision as they do, or to play along with it in the way that they specifically desire, right? The more compulsively attached a Sun-Pluto person is to their vision being orchestrated and everyone else participating in that orchestra, that can be quite overbearing, unless, of course, that person is already in some position of power where they literally are the, what's the person that leads the orchestra, the conductor. And that social reality has given them permission, has consented, and say they are in right relationship with that role. Right? But how is this playing out in a hidden kind of way, an unconscious kind of way, where you're like a Sun-Pluto person is trying to manage the development of the environment around them? If this is an unconscious motivation for the Sun-Pluto person, they are more likely to be overbearing and yet also totally unaware at how overbearing they are. They will find ways to not get feedback that challenges them or manage others' behavior as though a director to a play. So this can be tyrant energy or ruling by force. This is at an extreme of unconsciousness and gripping and intensity, right? Someone might have this same skill set, the same inner power to be able to direct a room or orchestrate an orchestra or direct a film, or those things very metaphorically, right? Someone just has that management or directorial skill set, and they're in deeper self-awareness about the psychology of themselves and other people, and are able to do it in a way that is received, celebrated more harmoniously, or has like more of a positive impact. So we're looking at a spectrum, we're looking at range. If the Sun-Pluto person can detach enough from needing others to play along with their vision, and if they can drop into their heart and feel worthy in their own radiance, right? Those are big processes, by the way. No, like for anyone, Sun, Pluto or not. They, from that place of power where they already, are in their heart, they're in their creative authority, they feel worthy, they're offering the sunlight. They will attract and support the engagement from others who resonate with their vision. The Sun-Pluto person may also have a talent for bringing out the radiance of others, right? There's a general thing with Pluto that the very places where we experience disempowerment and then empowerment, such as not feeling creatively realized to feeling creatively realized, we tend to want to help and support others. We tend to share. So when that Sun-Pluto person really does feel rooted in their own creative power, they do have a talent for bringing that out in others, right? Especially in as much as they have accepted this in themselves. With the Sun, we can have a basic level of shame just for who we are. Like, it's so awkward that I exist and I take up space, right? Versus I exist and I'm magnificent and I'm taking up space and I'm worthy of being here. Sun-Pluto people do have a talent for managing and guiding other people. They may just have to tune in with what the other person really desires, right? Or be clear about the container, the consent that they're creating. The Sun-Pluto person may, of course, like to direct their energy and sunlight toward people whose visions they connect and vibrate with. But it's helpful that they're in tune with the other person's desires, not just their projection of what the other person desires or should desire, or that the other is consenting to such direction. Then it can be a win-win situation. So these dynamics of directing or guiding others are not always like an equal playing field in terms of power dynamics. If you have like a person who's farther along in terms of having a particular talent, or they're rooted in a particular artistic craft and they're taking someone under their wing, such as a mentor, they may see things about their mentee that the mentee can't. So they may be guiding from that place of power. And in those power differentials, there's a lot of complexity, and there is it doesn't have to be equal from the starting gate for it to be a valuable relationship. There's just something about how that power is acknowledged and related to, and how consent is created, right? As opposed to kind of the more maniacal mentor figure who's like more obsessed or kind of like controlling about who they're guiding. That would be the extreme of taking it too far, as opposed to just the general like Sun-Pluto person bestowing their gifts. Yeah, they might be in a position of power, and that's not inherently evil. The evolution of Sun-Pluto is seizing power games that involve jealousy or competition between personalities or talented people. This means being able to shine and share one's radiance in a way that is empowered and not coming from a place of needing to overpower, like wanting to shine in an overbearing way that puts others down, where it's like, I'm the only light in the room and everyone bow down. The Sun-Pluto person can manage to be detached from how people admire or are jealous of them, so they don't feed into the drama, right? People who have strong personalities or are talented do create strong emotional reactions in other people, both admiration, jealousy, hatred, etc. And so to be in one's solar power, you can imagine that they would need to have a way of relating to not being overly swayed by all the feedback, which is also part of the complexity of that archetype, in that receiving feedback is how we adjust and be relational. But the feedback that people give toward the sun or the solar figure is so polarized and intense. So just having some compassion for the person that is receiving all of that feedback, and how they're learning to, if this is you that I'm speaking to, how you're learning to be moved by feedback and also be really firm in the truth of knowing who you are in the face of other people's projections as well. But just by being in your radiance and acknowledging the light in others, you bring more creativity to the planet. So let me know what you think. If you have Sun, Pluto, and natal aspect, how you related to this, what your experience has been, maybe what you learned. Please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out the other videos in this series.